Welcome into the Wild and Wacky edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, still with the questionable voice. That is Wade Neely of Sound Mind and Body. And it's Wednesday. So working on little sleep after staying up for last night's game 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but it was worth it, I guess. Relative to Sunday night in particular. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the top of the second hour as we have TERESA Walker of the Associated Press coming in to talk a little Preds with us. We're going to visit, as we do most every Wednesday, with Heather Williams of WCYB up in Johnson City, talking a little NASCAR here in the next segment. Also, some Braves. Yay. There has been a lot of interesting news to come out since we were last together, you all and us, and we're going to touch on some of that here in the grab bag probably later on in the show. And again, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, so we will be wrapping things up with some of the wildest and wackiest stories from around the globe. So that's today's show. We're looking forward to the next couple of hours of giving it to you. Wade, how are you doing?
Man, very well.
You sound better than I do, so that's a good start for sure.
Yeah, but hopefully we're getting you in the right direction. And the sun is out, the sun is shining, and we've got a stacked show. Always good to talk with Heather, talk with TERESA, and it's always good, obviously, to come on after watching what was a much-needed win for Nashville last night. And we had talked about the goalie situation in Vancouver, and Nashville was able to put a couple across in short order and take advantage of that, and then close it out with a strong defensive effort in the third period. So exciting stuff there from Nashville, and I think that leads us into what should be a fantastic Wednesday, however wild and wacky it may be.
It should be wild and wacky, and yeah, as you said, great defensive effort from the Preds last night. And again, we'll be talking with TERESA later in the show about whether or not that's a recipe that can hold up throughout this series. So stay tuned for that. As we get things started here, it's time to give you all yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Get this party started, folks. Wednesday rundown begins with baseball scores from last night. And here we go. It was Siegel knocking off Blackman 5-3. Brentwood was a 7-0 victor versus Page. Clarksville 8, Montgomery Central 1. Clarksville Northeast defeated Springfield 5-4. Columbia Central picked up a 5-2 win versus Coffee County. CPA defeated Father Ryan 5-2. Eagleville 9, Moore County won last night. Lawrence County clobbering Franklin County 17-0 was your tally there. Good win for the Wildcats. Davidson Academy defeating Franklin Road Academy 7-4. Beach was a 3-1 victor versus Gallatin. Murfreesboro Central Magnet defeated Giles County 5-3 in that contest. Joe Burns 7, Good Pasture 4. Green Hill wins a 1-run ball game over Mount Juliet 4-3 was your tally there. Culleoka 7, Hampshire 2. Hendersonville picked up a 5-0 win versus Clarksville Academy. McGavick wins a slugfest, as it were, 13-9 last night versus Hillsboro. A lot of runs scored in that one. Hume Fogg puts up 16, knocking off Maplewood, who had just 6. Cane Ridge was a 17-4 winner versus Hunters Lane. Centennial defeated Independence 8-2. It was Overton 19, Antioch 2. Rossview picked up a 15-3 win versus Kirkwood. Laverne wins it 11-6 versus Smyrna. Lawson knocking off MLK 13-1. Stewart's Creek 18-8 was the tally there as Stewart's Creek defeats Lebanon last night. How about I mentioned a slugfest earlier. This takes the cake, folks. Mount Pleasant defeats Hickman County last night 16-15. A lot of runs in that game. Yeah, a modern day pitcher's duel there as Mount Pleasant again defeats Hickman County 16-15. Woo. That was your final there. Ravenwood defeating Nolansville last night 5-3. Riverdale was a 17-1 victor versus Oakland. Innsworth 10, Pope John Paul II 6. Rockville picked up a 2-1 victory versus Middle Tennessee Christian. Santa Fe dispatched Cornersville 9-5. Shelbyville falls to Spring Hill 7-1. Good win for the Raiders there last night in that showdown. Watertown 5, Smith County 2. It was Summertown winning a one-run ball game versus Columbia Academy. 3-2 was your tally there. A couple more one-run ball games. The Summit defeats Franklin 2-1, and Macon County knocks off White House 3-2. Red Boiling Springs defeated Whites Creek 17-3, and the Knights, not sure which Knights, but the Knights defeated Zion Christian 17-4 was your score in that contest.
Softball action from Tuesday. Battleground Academy with a 13-5 win over Middle Tennessee Christian. Riverdale edged Blackman 10-9. Overton with a 29-0 win over Cane Ridge. It was Clarksville 6, Henry County 5. Clarksville Christian 22, South Haven Christian 1. Columbia Central with a 3-2 win over Coffee County. Columbia Academy picked up a pair of wins against Franklin Road Academy, 24-0 and 9-4. Christ Presbyterian Academy with a 15-0 win over Pope Prep. It was Eagleville 7, Community 3. Ensworth with a 12-0 win over Harpeth Hall. Father Ryan edged Brentwood Academy 6-5. Giles County blanked Franklin County 9-0. Friendship Christian defeated Good Pasture 11-8. Green Hill with a 15-0 win over Gallatin. It was Beach 14, Hendersonville 1. Joe Burns 10, East Robertson 2. Smyrna down Lebanon 18-1. Lewis County with a 13-3 win over Culleoka. Loretto split a doubleheader with Mars Hill Bible out of Alabama falling 9-3, but picking up a 15-6 win. Siegel with an 8-0 win over Rockvale. It was Warren County 13, Spring Hill 5. St. Cecilia Academy with a 19-3 win over Pearl Cone. Stewart's Creek 19, Laverne 0. Macon County 1, White House 0. Cookville 8, Wilson Central 6, and Zion Christian with a 9-1 win over Frank Hughes.
Boys soccer action from last night. Some good games on the docket, including Franklin Christian, who defeated Middle Tennessee Christian 3-0. Franklin County came into Pulaski and battled Giles County to a 2-2 draw. Good contest there here in P-Town last night. Green Hill knocked off Gallatin 2-0. It was Laverne 4, Lebanon 0. And Boyd Buchanan defeated Lipscomb Academy last night 3-1. Zion Christian defeated Marshall County. Not a lack of goals there. It was 5-4. Again, ZCA knocking off Marshall County 5-4 last night. Oakland 4, Riverdale 0. Ravenwood also shut out their foe last night. Page unable to produce a goal. So Ravenwood, again, 4-0 over the Patriots last night. Blackman 1, Rockvale 0. Columbia Central 4, Shelbyville 2. Murfreesboro Central Magnet and Siegel battled to a 2-2 draw. Smyrna blanked Cookville. 1-0 was your tally there. Independence Academy defeating Stewart's Creek 4-0. Overton 2, University School of Nashville 2 to cap our boys soccer scoreboard last night. Major League Baseball scores. The Braves shut out the Marlins. 5-0 was your score there. And the Cubs defeated the Astros 7-2 in Tuesday night action. Minor League Baseball action yesterday. It was Louisville defeating the Sounds 14-9. And in a score already from today, Louisville 2 and the Sounds 1. As Mo and I mentioned earlier in the program and still to come later, the Nashville Predators picked up a 4-1 victory versus the Canucks. That series is now tied at 1 game apiece. Game 3 coming your way Friday night in Smashville.
Today's baseball schedule at the high school level. At 4 o'clock, Murfreesboro Central travels to Providence Christian. At 4:30, Antioch hosts Whites Creek. Also, Montgomery Bell Academy goes to Brentwood Academy. Pope Prep is at Ensworth. Christ Presbyterian is at Father Ryan. Page hosting Brentwood, and Nolansville travels to Ravenwood, as well as Ezel Harding playing at University School of Nashville. Another 4 o'clock game. Lipscomb Academy is at Station Camp. At 5, Centennial hosts Independence. Westmoreland goes to Watertown. 6 o'clock starts for Gallatin at Beach, Oakland at Riverdale, Siegel hosting Blackman, Laverne at Smyrna, Stewart's Creek hosting Lebanon. At 6:30, Martin Luther King goes to Lawson. At 7 o'clock, Green Hill is at Mount Juliet. Also, Cookville is at Wilson Central. And at a time unknown to us, Summit is at Franklin.
Check your local listings on
go.
that one, as we like to say. Softball schedule for today. A couple of games beginning at 4:30. They are Clarksville Academy at DCA. Pope John Paul II at Father Ryan. 5 o'clock window now. CPA is at Grace Christian Franklin. Greenbrier is at Joe Burns. East Robertson will travel to Lebanon tonight. It'll be Spring Hill at Lincoln County. White House Heritage is at Station Camp tonight at 5. And our final 5 o'clock showdown, Loretto traveling to Summertown. Doubleheader tonight as Fayetteville is on the road at Eagleville. First game beginning at 5:30. Second game scheduled to begin at 7:30. Giles County will host Murfreesboro Central Magnet in a game that begins at 5:30 tonight. Clarksville Northwest will host Rossview will host Clarksville Northwest tonight. As will Springfield hosting Portland this evening. 6 p.m. starts as Smyrna travels to Laverne. Hillsboro is at Lawson. Siegel traveling to Oakland tonight at 6 o'clock. And the start times not available to us, but we can tell you Cannon County scheduled to travel to Watertown. Lipscomb Academy is at BGA. Waverly at Dixon County. Red Boiling Springs at MLK. Kenwood at Stewart County. Stewart County again playing host to Kenwood there. Cheatham County will be at East Hickman to close our softball scoreboard schedule for tonight. Boys soccer, only a handful of games on the docket, but there are some key ones. DCA is traveling to Clarksville Academy. That contest set to kick off at 5 o'clock. At 5:30, Kenwood is at East Hickman, and Rockvale is at Forest. At 6 o'clock, big-time district showdown as Richland will host Loretto in a rematch of a game played in Lawrence County just a couple of days ago. 7 p.m. tonight, it'll be White House at Portland to close the boys' soccer schedule for this evening. MLB action today. Couple of night games for the Braves and Astros. The Marlins and Braves beginning at 6:20. Game can be seen on MLB Network or Bally Sports South. And the Astros and Cubs will begin 20 minutes later. 6:40 first pitch in Chicago to cap our MLB schedule for today and to close out today's rundown.
Top story of the day brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly over in Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and check them out for their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. The Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Players and Pitchers of the Week for this past week have been announced, and if you've been keeping up with Tennessee baseball at all, then it's no shock that Christian Moore is the baseball player of the week. Went 8 for 11 in the Vol series up at Kentucky. 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 5 runs scored. Had 3 home runs in the Sunday finale victory, tying a single game record for the program. So, Christian Moore is your TSWA baseball player of the week. Union junior Eli Snelson earned pitcher of the week honors, giving up just 1 run on 3 hits in a complete game 2-1 victory against Montevallo, striking out 8 in that victory, his 4th of the year. In softball, Carson Newman outfielder Macy Hughes had 5 hits in the Lady Eagles 15-7 win over Milligan. She went 5 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a pair of doubles. She hit 9 for 16 on the week with 5 RBIs, 7 runs, and 3 doubles. And in the circle, Tusculum senior Emily Sappington went 3-0 in 3 appearances, defeating Lenore Ryan, Young Harris, and Newberry. Over 20 innings, she struck out 20. And also hit 400 with a pair of runs driven in and a run scored. So Christian Moore and Eli Snelson from UT and Union are your baseball player and pitcher of the week. Macy Hughes from Carson Newman and Emily Sappington from Tusculum are your player and pitcher of the week in softball. Congratulations to all. Wade, anything else that you feel like we need to get to here before we go to a break, because we're a little ahead of schedule?
Well, obviously we're going to talk a lot about the Preds coming up later in the show, and rightfully so. They got the huge win last night, but we're kind of in that sweet spot, Mo, where you turn on the TV every night and you got anything and everything at your disposal. And last night was one of those. At one point, I had 2 hockey games up top. I had 2 basketball games down low. If Houston was not so horrible, I would have potentially thrown them on the second TV. And things are kind of just good right now. So I'm really enjoying what we've got going on. And some of the other NHL series are finally starting to pick up the pace as well. It was so fantastic, obviously, to see Nashville get that win. But the Avalanche tied the series last night with a nice 5-2 victory versus the Jets. The Panthers and Lightning, that all Florida showdown has featured some crazy goalie play. So that has been fun to watch. Some of those clips are already going viral. And then the Rangers took care of business last night versus the Capitals 4-3. So kind of like the NBA in a sense, we're getting a few series here and there. The Pacers got a nice win in a series that after Dame Lillard went off in game 1, it looked like they might run away from the Pacers, but It was good to see Indiana kind of come back and get a win. So the playoffs for both the NHL and the NBA kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start over the weekend, but even after just 2 games in most series, I think we're already off and running here in full speed.
Oh, yeah. Dallas evening their series against the host Clippers as well with a 96-93 win. The T-Wolves, I guess the Suns are just done, huh?
Suns don't look good. T-Wolves are a really good defensive team, and I said it a couple days ago. I kind of wanted to see a game or two to really see if they had that playoff mojo about them. And I don't know that I'm inclined to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt. But, yeah, the Suns just look lifeless, man. And somebody was quick to point out that Bradley Beal, who kind of really looks like one of those key cogs that is not producing right now for the Phoenix Suns, he's got a no-trade clause, and he's got one of the richest contracts in league history. So if you're not liking what you're seeing from him now, unfortunately, you might be stuck because, he's got one of the rare full no-trade clauses right now.
Everybody in Phoenix happy about that, huh? Yeah.
I would say so. And then the only bad thing, and this is why I do give a small tip of the cap. Obviously, I love watching the NBA playoffs, but the NHL does it so great. They don't dilly-dally. I mean, you get one night off, and then you go right into the next game, whereas once you get into the NBA, sometimes they kind of start stretching it out. I'm still loving what we're seeing in the Knicks and Sixers series. Game 2 in that series was just out of control as New York makes an insane comeback in the final 30, 40 seconds of that game. So, but now you got to wait. They don't play again until tomorrow. And the same deal with the Bucks and the Pacers. As entertaining as that game was last night, you got to wait all the way till Friday. And so we're kind of in that sweet spot, man. And it's tough for you and I, because we've got all these local teams that we're trying to make sure we get out and do the best of our abilities. But we got all these big games at the bigger stages, I should say, that are getting played too. It's a plethora of riches, really, is what it is for us right now.
It really is. The good thing is, we can typically come home, sit down, turn on the TV and see something. So it's a fun time of year, as you said. So speaking of, in addition to all that, we got NASCAR going on. And when we come back to the Lee Company studios here of our respective homes, we will be joined by Heather Williams of WCYB TV out of Johnson City to talk about Dega and Dover. Stay with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Wild and Wacky Wednesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, as we come to you from the Lee Company studios. Wade and Pulaski, me and Franklin, and we are now joined by, from parts unknown, apparently, Heather Williams. Looks like a golf course. Where you at, Heather?
It is a golf course in Kingsport. Today is, and I'm not playing, just to be clear, today is the Thunder Valley Cup. It's an annual Media versus Bristol Motor Speedway golf tournament that they have for a little fun, fellowship, and bragging rights. I am the official drink cart driver.
You are the drink cart driver.
Yes.
Is that all you're doing is driving?
So far. I have to finish my work here first.
Got you. I get it. Hey, before we get into NASCAR, I want to ask you, the high socks look good on your Royals.
You like that? I mean, everything looks good on the Royals, especially when they're winning.
Yeah, exactly. They went high socks yesterday and snapped a 3-game losing streak. So maybe their fashion.
I've always been a fan of the high socks. Like, I like the high socks. That's a clean look for me. So
I agree wholeheartedly. But we're both old school. Yeah. I hate the pajama pants look. So I was glad to see that change pay off for Kansas City in their win over Toronto yesterday. So maybe that will encourage them to embrace it long term. But of course, having Bobby Witt Jr. doesn't hurt either. So
no, or Vinny Pasquantino, the way he's hitting the ball lately. Salvador Perez has been crushing it for an old guy. I mean, he was on the World Championship team, the MVP of the World Series almost 10 years ago now, and he's still up there crushing the ball. And then, of course, they finally have pitching, which I think has been the real difference so far this year.
Cool. Talladega. Thoughts?
There was a lot going on there. I think, everybody's talking. Obviously, there was a crash that took Eric Jones out at least this week, probably for several weeks. He's got what do you call it? A compression fracture in his vertebrae. So I got a heckler looking at me here. Another media member. I mean, you come talk if you want, Kenny.
Who you got?
Kenny Hawkins, I don't know if you know him. He's from the
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's over here heckling me. Anyway, so Eric Jones is out for at least this weekend, but probably several weeks with compression fracture in his vertebrae. He's going to be replaced by Truck Series kind of young phenom Corey Heim. Thankfully, Eric's not hurt worse than he is. He took a really hard hit head on into the wall, but I'm kind of excited to see what Corey can do. I mean, he's probably the hottest young name in the Truck Series right now. So to see what he's going to be able to do in a Cup car, I think is really exciting for the future of the sport. The accident that Eric got injured in is a story in and of himself. The Toyotas, the theme for the weekend was kind of everybody was saving fuel. And the Toyotas kind of went off strategy a little bit, pitted early, and then had the fuel to run full out to the end. And so they were all lined up in a row, and they were going to beat the field. They were going to beat them. And then I'll let people decide who they think ran out of talent. I have my theory, but somebody in the line of 6 ran out of talent and wrecked almost the entire group. I think 3 drivers made that out past that wreck, and one of them still won. So the strategy was right. The strategy worked because Tyler Reddick ended up winning. But yeah, that whole thing was kind of just a disaster for Toyota, other than the fact that Tyler Reddick won. And something you can appreciate, I'm sure, Mo, even as a non-fan, is it was great to see Michael Jordan in victory lane. 2311 has won several times, but he's not been there. They were kind of giving him a hard time, calling him bad luck because they didn't win when he was there. So it was Michael's first trip to victory lane. Obviously not 2311's first trip, but Michael's first trip to victory lane. And so that was great.
That is pretty cool that he was able to be there and see the number 45, Tyler Reddick, get his first win of the season. So yeah, that's good stuff for Michael, good stuff for Tyler, and for 2311, like you said. Brad Keselowski, Noah Gragson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Alex Bowman rounding out the top 5 there at Talladega. Any surprises out of that top 5 for you?
Maybe Noah Gragson. I mean, he's a guy that hasn't had that great of a year. Fords haven't run particularly well, but Noah is, when he was in the Xfinity Series, he was good everywhere, but he was good on super speedways for sure. But, the rest of those guys are all super speedway drivers. They know how to get around a track like Talladega. So maybe Noah a little bit, but when you look at his history, not just his recent history, it's not that big of a surprise.
Heather, we know these guys are talented, but it was a little scary to me when I read the quote from Reddick where he says he just closed his eyes at the end. I know these guys are great drivers. That's a little shocking for me to hear that he said he was just doing whatever he could right there at the end to get the win, which was obviously so impressive with Jordan in attendance there.
Well, anytime you go through those wrecks, the cars are so close, it's 100% luck whether or not you make it through that. So eyes open, eyes closed. I don't know that it makes that big of a difference because it's just like instant reaction and then pray that you make it through because cars are going everywhere. So, I mean, yes, I don't think his eyes were actually closed.
Right.
Maybe they were, but I think it's just a reference to there's just so much in that. There's a lot of skill to driving on the super speedways, but once the wreck happens, it's a lot more luck than skill, which is why you see guys that are very good at these places, often get caught in a wreck because there's nothing you can do about it. That wreck with the Toyotas I talked about had 2 of the better super speedway drivers get caught up in Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace. So, there's just not a lot you can do other than, close your eyes and pray.
You mentioned Brad Keselowski. He was right there in the mix, and I was kind of oblivious to this fact. Now going on 108 races in a row without a win. That just seems, number one, it just seems like time is going way too fast if there's been 108 races since this guy has won one. But was that his most recent? Obviously it was the most recent, but was that his biggest chance yet? And what does he have to do to potentially try and snap that streak? That's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is probably his best chance in recent history just because he's so good at Talladega. Among active drivers, he's either the successful or the second most successful at Talladega as far as wins go. So I'm sure he had that one circled. But his team's been running really well. They've been a top 5, top 10 kind of machine for the better part of almost a year now. They're close. If you just keep running in that position, you're gonna find a win's gonna find you. Like eventually they're gonna snap that. But it is kind of surprising. It's the longest active streak among champions without a win by a pretty good margin now that Chase Elliott has won. So yeah, I mean it's coming. It's definitely coming. He's done so much. He and Chris Buescher to improve Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, and they're super close. It's going to happen for Brad. He's too competitive and too smart a driver to not eventually get there.
As we get ready to head to Dover now, a name that I kind of just on a quick Google search, everybody's buzzing about is Kyle Larson and talking about how he's been so effective at the Monster Mile over the last several years. Is he kind of the favorite in your mind? And if he's not the favorite, who are one or two other guys that are certainly going to maybe stake their claim in your estimation?
He's definitely one of the favorites. A high bank, high speed tracks, mile and a half. That's always been right in his wheelhouse. I think you can look at a couple other of the drivers and see. Do you need this cart? Okay, I got to jump out of the cart. Needed. A couple other of the drivers from Hendrick Motorsports are all really good at the Dover, so that's a really good track for them. Surprise, surprise. There's a lot of tracks that they're the favorites at, but I think you look at Chase and William and Alex, all three of them can win there as well. And then of course Denny Hamlin has had a really good track record. I mean, it's the top crop guys always come up every week, but I think you look at those 5 drivers, and that's where I would start if I was making a fantasy team.
Heather Williams of WCYB TV out of Johnson City joining us here on Main Street Sports today, as she does virtually every Wednesday, talking a little NASCAR and showing her versatility there, being able to get off the cart and stay with us. Appreciate you being flexible like that. What are you looking for out of Dover? Anything in particular?
No, I think it'll be a good race. I mean, this car is shown on this intermediate length tracks that it's a pretty good race car. I'll be interested to see because it's a concrete track, and the last time we were on a concrete track at Bristol, we had the tire issues. So I'll be interested to see, how the tires perform, if they bring a different tire, because it's kind of the same package as far as like engineering, electrical package for the word escapes me, but anyway, it's the same package set up for Dover as it was for Bristol. So I would be keeping an eye on the tire and the tire wear to see if we have some of the same things go on at Bristol. But it's always an entertaining race. I mean, it's my personal favorite trophy in NASCAR because the mascot is Miles the Monster, because it's nicknamed the Miles Monster Monster Mile, and so it's a big concrete monster, and the trophy has Miles holding. They put the winning car, a die cast, in the hand of Miles the Monster. Oh, wow. So it's a cool little trophy. It's probably my favorite in NASCAR. Not my favorite track. We know my favorite tracks are all in the state of Tennessee, but definitely my favorite trophy.
Any chance you'll be making that?
No, a little far for me. My next race will be the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro here in about a month. Uh-oh, I lose you.
Epic stuff. I think we lost Mo briefly, but he's back.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Heather. I was just trying to ask, were you going to be making it up to Dover this weekend?
No, my next race is the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro in a month. Will be the next one I go to.
Okay. All right. So you get to get a little rest, kind of catch your breath a little bit then, huh?
I mean, I guess, there's always stuff going on, right? I mean, we do have,
as we see,
like, it seems like forever. There's like 3 weeks off before at the end of the spring sports season in Virginia and the beginning of the sports season in Tennessee.
Yeah, plenty to look forward to. Heather, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, and a little disappointed that you're not playing today, but
I don't play. I don't go.
You sound like me.
I don't go.
I understand.
Hey, this is competition.
Got you. Well, have fun manning the drink cart, and we will catch up with you next week.
All right, sounds good. See you guys.
Thank you, Heather.
Hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, we're going to talk a little Braves, a little Major League Baseball, maybe a little minor league baseball. So stay with us when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Chipper Jones celebrated his 40th birthday with a home run to lead off the fifth inning of Atlanta's road matchup with the Dodgers. Jones became the fourth major leaguer to go yard on his 40th, joining Bob Thurman, Joe Morgan, Wade Boggs, and Tony Phillips. The homer got the Braves on the scoreboard, helping them rally from an early 2-run deficit for a 4-3 victory. That was this day in Braves history. Didn't need Chipper yesterday because Max Fried held it down. 9 shutout innings. Gave up 3 hits, struck out 6 on just 92 pitches. They call that a Maddox.
That is a quality bounce back. Much needed for him, right?
Much needed, considering that he had an ERA of 7.71 coming into last night. I'm not sure what that ERA is now, but it's certainly lower when you throw in 9 innings and 0 runs. So yeah, that was a nice little bounce back for Max. 2-0. So I mean, he struggled a couple of times and got lucky with some no decisions out of that, but he was certainly on it last night. I think he maybe faced 3 over the minimum because one of his hits was wiped out with a double play ball. So it might have even been less than that. I'm not sure, but he there's no way to describe it. I mean, he was just dominant. But again, a Maddox is any shutout of at least 9 innings on fewer than 100 pitches. Maddox did it 13 times, 10 with the Braves. That was Max's third. Tom Glavine had 5, and he was actually in the booth last night. So it was a little ironic that one of the greatest left-handers in Atlanta Braves history was in the booth watching Max Fried author that performance last night. So it's really kind of cool the way that worked out. Glavine kind of pinch hitting for CJ Nitkowski last night. But yeah, that was kind of like Sale and some of the other guys were saying Friday night after Travis d'Arnaud's 3 home run game that was TDA's night. Well, last night was absolutely Max's night. Now, you got a home run from Adam Duvall. d'Arnaud had a ground rule double, and both of them and Michael Harris II each had a pair of hits. But again, they didn't need a whole lot of offense last night because Max wasn't giving up anything.
Yeah, hard to win, as we've said, when you're not giving up any runs, or hard to lose, rather, when you're not giving up any runs. The old page out of the old Astros start of the season playbook there. And, isn't it funny how it always sometimes works out? It feels like baseball is just always destined for these type of moments where you got a guy back in the booth, or you got a guy that's getting his jersey retired or something, and it just seems like things just oddly ping pong in a certain direction. So very, very kind of a cool situation there with Tommy being on hand for that one.
Absolutely. More good news coming for the Braves. It seems Ozzie Albies is set, it appears, to return from the injured list on Friday, which is the earliest he can come back. But apparently that toe is coming along as well as it could, and he's going to be back for Friday, which they may need him because Cleveland is coming in here, and if the Braves aren't the hottest team in Major League Baseball, then the Guardians are. So it's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, that's going to be an epic showdown. And you're right, 2 hottest teams, both 8-2 in their last 10, and that's going to be fun. Especially, so my girlfriend's family is from Ohio, so they still have a little PTSD, as a lot of folks in that area do. So
from 95.
They'll be glued in a touch, I think, over the weekend, and that'll be a fun series between. I mean, it's not every. I mean, obviously it happens, but it feels like it doesn't happen as much as it should or could, where you kind of get maybe a potential World Series preview this early in the season.
It's interesting when you see 2 teams rolling the way both of them are, come at it this early in the year, like you said. So yeah, this is before the end of April. You've got a potential, World Series matchup taking place in Truist Park this weekend. Should be fun. The Braves try to finish off the sweep of Miami tonight. We mentioned it's a 6:00 start. The game can be seen both on the MLB Network and on Bally Sports. Sixto Sanchez going to the bump for Miami, 0-1 with a 6.14 ERA. Ronaldo Lopez, who has been fantastic for the Braves, offseason signing from the White Sox, where he had been a reliever. He's 2-0 with an 0.50 earned run average. So we'll see how that one goes, ahead of an off day, and then Cleveland for 3 this weekend. As we mentioned in the rundown, things not looking quite so good for the Astros right now.
Nope. More of the same as they kind of continue just to struggle along. And the Cubs got them last night. It was an old NL Central throwback rivalry matchup. And Houston didn't really have much of a shot as they gave up 5 runs in the bottom of the first. And that pretty much tells you all you need to know about.
Kind of takes the wind out of your sails.
Yep. They got 2 of them back and made it 5-2. But Chicago was not really going anywhere last night. Altuve and Tucker had a couple of multi-hit games, but Alvarez goes 0 for 4. Bregman goes 0 for 4. That lineup is just not really producing at a high level. And we've talked, obviously, that the pitching staff is certainly not pitching at a high level. So they're sitting there at 7-17, partner. And it is it's going to be a long summer, it's looking like, for the Astros fans of the world.
It feels like that could be the case, and certainly a long night tonight. 6:40 start. The Astros send Spencer Arrighetti out. He's 0-2 with an 11.57 earned run average. Jameson Talion, goes for the Cubs, 1-0 with a 1.80. So there's not a whole lot to hang your hopes on for tonight, specifically if you're a Houston fan, I don't guess.
No, and this one really hurts me, Mo, because Coach Dugan Line from UT Southern, he's a huge Cubs fan, so I'm catching it from him. My chiropractor and good friend, Dr. Zach Roberts, he's a huge Cubs fan, so I'm catching it from him. I mean, I'm being besieged on all fronts here. And that's before this series, and now this series is making things worse. So Houston's got to get things turned around. Because I don't want to have to,
or you're going to have to turn your phone off, right?
Yeah, one of the two. I don't want to have to keep burying my head in the sand. But hey, man, from my own mental well-being, we're approaching that territory right now because it is not looking good for Houston. And you get Verlander back, and obviously he pitched well last Friday, but I mean he can only throw every 5 or 6 days, so. Kind of like we had joked about with Blanco at the start of the season, you can't just keep relying on him to come out and throw no hitters and shutouts every 5 to 6 days. So they got to get something going. They do get the Rockies this weekend, as we touched on earlier in the week, but it's only for a rare 2-game series.
Oh wow!
And then they have the Guardians next week in the middle of the week. So things could go from bad to worse for Houston. And suddenly the Mariners are now in first place in that division, which is we talked about Cleveland and talked about Atlanta, but the Mariners are probably the 3rd hottest team in baseball right now, as they've gone 7-3 in their last 10, and they are now a half game up on the Rangers in that division. And the Athletics are about to win their next victory, whether it's today or in the next day or two. They'll have their 10th win of the season already. So Houston is toiling at the bottom of the standings now, 5.5 games back of the first place Mariners.
Today is the first day this season that Texas has not held at least a piece of first place in the AL West. So things are interesting out there. Mike Trout hit a solo home run last night. First time he'd been in a leadoff home run last night. First time he'd been in the leadoff spot in 12 years. I think it was. Wow. So Ron Washington kind of shaking things up a little bit out there in Anaheim and getting results. So the AL West is going to be interesting for a number of reasons, it seems like. Meanwhile, I saw an article on Facebook earlier today by friend of the show, John Parado, who let me see if I can grab this real quick. Apparently, a rival scout says the Braves are vulnerable because Spencer Strider is out. Now, I'm not sure what new ground that is necessarily breaking, but I don't know who would disagree with that. I mean, you don't lose a guy, the caliber of a Spencer Strider and not feel it. Now, if there's anybody that can, it's probably Atlanta, as they showed last year when they went, extensive periods of time without Max Fried. So, I mean, 6-time division champ Braves vulnerable in eyes of rival executive is the headline.
Keyword there, I guess, is rival executive.
Yeah, sure. I mean, grab a hold of something.
Yeah, and the thing is, Atlanta's starting to really kind of seems like they're starting to heat up after not a bumpy start, but not the smoothest of starts. Seems like they're really finding their stride. Philadelphia, I mean, they're 8-2 in their last 10 as well, so it's not as if they are just falling by the wayside. And the Mets still further down the line, but the Mets, I think, are punching above their weight at this current point in the season. So this has been fun, and I forget exactly, but we discussed in our preseason predictions that the Phillies, I think a lot of folks would agree that the Braves ultimately win this division, but it probably won't be as big of a runaway as we saw last year. And so Philadelphia, at least for, the first, 20-something, close to 30 games, they're kind of holding up their end of the bargain. So I think for me as an outsider and a neutral fan, it'd be fun to at least see some sort of competitive nature in that division and make the games kind of a little more meaningful. But
Right.
a lot more remains to be seen.
Absolutely. The Braves are awfully good, but they're vulnerable. There aren't many teams who are better than the Braves anywhere in the big leagues, but the Phillies are awfully good too. For me, the Braves and the Phillies are co-favorites at this point, according to this rival executive. So it's interesting. But
well, that news is not matriculated to Vegas, at least, Mo, because I can tell you that the Braves are a massive favorite still to win that division, at least according to one online sports book. Philadelphia obviously is in second, but their odds are a little longer than you might think. And this is kind of baffling a little bit. A lot of folks, or at least in Vegas, at least on these sportsbook odds, we mentioned the American League Central and how great of a start that Cleveland has gotten off to. The Braves are a massive favorite to win the division. Cleveland is technically the favorite, but they're still at plus money. They're still an underdog. And the number 2 team behind them is not the second place Royals. It's not the third place Tigers. Vegas still has the Twins slightly ahead of the Tigers, still to maybe potentially make a rally. So at least Vegas is thinking, hey, Cleveland, as fast of a start as they've gotten off to, they're not really maybe thinking that's going to last the rest of the season, it looks like.
That's interesting because, the Twins lost Sonny Gray over the offseason. He's pitching in St. Louis now, picked up his 100th win last week of his career. So, that's intriguing that they still think that highly of Minnesota. And it feels like that division, especially if Kansas City can continue to play well, is going to really bear watching over the course of the year. So
the only 2 teams, Mo, I mentioned the Braves are a favorite as far as you would have to lay 475 to win 100. I mean, they're a healthy favorite. They're the only team other than the Dodgers who are also minus 400. They're minus 425. Everybody else, even if they're in the lead or they are the favorite, you would get some extra money back on a wager. So it's kind of, I guess, what is that? Maybe a little just carryover from, they're playing well, but also they had the preseason juice behind them too, because everybody in Vegas is believing in the Braves. And even though the Dodgers are only a game and a half up, I guess they're thinking, hey, they just got so much firepower at some point, they're going to have to really open up a gap there.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned the Sounds in the rundown earlier. Lost 14-9 in their first game up at Louisville last night, came back with a day game today, and already they're done. It's funny how baseball works. The Sounds lose 14-9 last night, lose 2-1 today. Momentum is your next day starter, I guess. But I think it was the first start of the season for Robert Gasser for the Sounds, and obviously he did a pretty good job as Louisville managed just 2 runs all game. So despite the loss, nice start for Gasser in his first time out for Nashville. Speaking of minor leaguers, Pittsburgh took Paul Skeens out of LSU with their number 1 pick last year. Prior to today, in 4 starts with AAA Indianapolis, he had 27 strikeouts in 12 2/3 innings, had not given up a run. Finally gave up a run in a day game today, but struck out 7 in 4 2/3. So that's 34 strikeouts in exactly 17 innings. That's my Franklin High math tells me that's 2 strikeouts an inning. Whew. Why he's doing that in Indianapolis and not in Pittsburgh is beyond me.
Oh, that was immediately what I was about to ask you is what's the holdup here? Number 3 prospect in the MLB, according to MLB.com at least. I mean, and obviously I'm not even close to being a baseball exec, but at what point, what's the formula, what's the recipe, or what's the game plan, I guess, as to him not getting the call up?
I mean, obviously they have their timetables, they have their reasons, that kind of thing. But I mean, from a fan base standpoint, I would think that folks are really just losing their mind over seeing this guy do this at the AAA level, particularly when the Pirates are doing what they're doing at the major league level.
And the other key distinction in all this is Paul's trying to get to the big leagues, obviously, for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is he's kind of number 2 in his household right now because his girlfriend, Olivia Dunn, is touting that LSU gymnastics national championship. And old Paul is saying, hey, I'm proud of you and all, but
I'm doing a little something over here too.
I'm doing a little something too. And Paul's probably saying, hey man, I got to get that call up stat because I'm a decided number 2 in my own household right now. So he's trying to get that call up sooner than later for a variety of reasons.
You talk about you're catching it from Cubs fans. Paul's catching it from Olivia, huh?
And she's got millions and millions of social media followers that are probably saying, "Hey, Paul, you're good and all, but look what our girl's been doing here." So he's got some work to do to catch up.
Another power couple in sports, huh?
Yeah, and now I'm reading an article from the Daily Mail because, of course, they'd be writing an article about these two. Yeah, said Olivia's calling for him to go ahead and get the call up. So she's supporting him, saying, "Hey, get my man to the big leagues." But yeah, you're right. You rattled off those stats. Those are just eye-popping numbers, and we knew that he would obviously be a big-time prospect and a fantastic pro. But man, he's already producing at a high level.
So, do we know it? Will she be in the Olympics this summer?
Now, that is a great question. And that might be a great question to ask our next guest.
Our next guest. Ooh, segue. Look at you. Look at you. Let's go ahead and take that break then, since you've led us into it. And when we come back to the Lee Company Studios here for hour 2 of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will be joined by the queen of Tennessee sports media. Hopefully I got that right. TERESA Walker of the Associated Press. So stay with us when we come back.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
We are now into hour 2 of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, and we are now joined by, again, the queen of Tennessee sports media, TERESA Walker of the Associated Press. And before we talk about last night's Game 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, TERESA, Wade has a question for you.
Go right ahead, Wade.
Oh, thank you. And TERESA, it's always good to be with you. Hey, we were just barbershop talking a second ago, and we were talking about Paul Skeens and how he's really, as good as he is as a big league prospect, he's kind of the number 2 in his own household, as his girlfriend coming off that national championship down at LSU, Olivia Dunn. And Mo and I were wondering, is she, and it was a perfect segue, not just a radio segue, but a perfect segue, given that you're going to be covering the Olympics this summer. Do we know, is she going to be on Team USA this summer?
To be determined. I'm helping compile a list of all the Olympians that are going for the U.S. to the Olympics and the Paralympics. Yeah, there's a lot of them. And by the list that I have, gymnastics trials are June 27th through the 30th. And think about it. I mean, look at who all you've got, Sunisa Lee, at Auburn. And, she's fought through some things to get back healthy. And, Gabby Douglas is, I think, trying to make another run at it. So it's like, that's the thing. Team USA is stacked with talent these days. So it's like you make that team thanks to NIL that, for all the worry and the concerns that it would hurt the Olympic sports a lot, NIL has allowed some of these athletes in these sports to continue competing after, previously it's like, well, I got to go to college. I can't take money because of the NCAA. And this allows them to stay competitive. And we all get a chance to see some more mature athletes and see what they can do with some experience under their belt, as opposed to, it used to be you had to be 14, 15, 16 to be young and nimble. And, we all know the older you get, some things you just cannot do. But NIL is allowing athletes like Olivia Dunn to keep her skills sharp improve her other skills and stay competitive. So I'll just say this. I'm really glad I don't have to update that list at that point, because I'll be busy with the NASCAR race out at the Super Speedway. And my colleague, Will Graves, who covers gymnastics, will be the one that he's going to have to update that. Anybody who's worked on an Excel spreadsheet, you might have a feeling of what I'm dealing with. And yeah, I've got to update that later today.
Doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun, Teresa. So Olivia Dunn will be at the Olympic trials in a couple of months. As long as we're going down this gymnastics track for a second, Morgan Price from Fisk, is she in that mix?
I think she's got to be. I mean, she just won a national title. I can't remember exact name of that she won, but she's talented. I mean, she's not at Fisk because she's not an incredibly skilled gymnast. She's there because she's trying to help start and build history at a historically Black college or university, and an NAIA program, allowing her. Yeah, you say that 2 times fast. HBCU and NAIA. So so she's there trying to make some history, and she's working on her skills, and she's obviously incredibly talented. And the challenge is going to be, it's almost like with figure skating, you have to be on point and be at your best at that moment when of the competition where they're setting, how you performed in competitions. Some sports and some of the qualifications are set on, qualifications, rankings, several competitions. The basketball team, okay, for the women, they've got a camp coming, that they just did. Caitlin Clark wasn't in it because she was in the Final Four, and they're going to be monitoring her during her early rookie days in the WNBA before they make that final cut. Every team seems to have its own unique qualification systems, but for gymnastics, she's going to need to be on point, just like everybody else, to try to post the best score. And I have to admit, I haven't talked with Will to see just how in depth do they take in the past few months, or is it strictly that meet that sets the final team? And that's the challenge. Is all I know at this point is that the final team will be set after those qualifications and that meet. So and luckily, I'm going to hand that part off to Will, and he gets to add the names, the hometowns, the longitude and latitude. Yes. For geometry. Yes, it's part of our Olympic Localize It project, because here's the crazy thing. There are Olympians who are either, from the Virgin Islands to Minnesota to Washington, D.C. to Portland, Oregon. I mean, you might think that you don't have somebody in your area that's going to the Olympics. I'll tell you, you look at the list, you'll be stunned. And some of the stories that they've got are just, some of them are, the Paralympians are absolutely amazing, but even the regular Olympians, there's some people that are going for their 5th and 6th time, and in rowing or sailing or shooting, and it's fun to watch. I went out and did a story way back in the 90s on a shooter from Brentwood. And I let's just put it this way: I was sworn to secrecy. I couldn't say where it was that she practiced.
Oh, goodness.
It was a closely held secret.
I'm intrigued by the possibility of Morgan Price making a U.S. Olympic team, just from the standpoint that I don't know that Fisk has necessarily ever been represented in the Olympics.
Oh, well, think about it. Jeremiah Armstead just got recognized at the Final Four with the Perry Wallace Courageous Award from the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. And that was the first time, that kind of honor had gone to somebody from an HBCU or NAIA. See, it's not easy to roll off the tongue. And so, but I'll say this is why you never say first ever, because somebody will do the research and say, back in the day, so-and-so did it. So you always have to be careful with that kind of asterisk.
I will say,
Believed to be.
yeah,
Believed to be.
Yes. Teresa, putting a bow on the Olympics, I don't know. I speak for, I think, everybody across not just America, but the world. As long as we get the guy back from Tonga to come back in the opening ceremonies, I think that's really all that everybody is probably tuning in. I think we can all pretty much agree on that. So everything else is just a kind of nice feather in the cap, right?
Particularly the female members of the NBC sports crew, I would think.
Ratings might spike during a certain section of the opening ceremonies, I think, if he's back.
Well, I'll just say this. It's going to be a nice change on the Olympics just because two things. Fans are going to be back after not being there in Beijing or Tokyo, and even in Rio de Janeiro, because of the worry about the Zika virus. And I saw one mosquito. It was winter there because of the Zika virus. Fan attendance took a bit of a hit. Now here, I think the ratings will be better because Paris is about 7 hours ahead of where we're at, or at least that's what my watch tells me. Yes, and I mean, shoot, it's like 9 o'clock over there right now. If I'm looking at my watch, or 10 o'clock right now, as opposed to, I was able to do a call in with a local show talking about the women's hockey in 2018, because it was literally morning for me, but it was the night before for them. So it's like, when you get around datelines, it's just confusing as all get out. This will be a much more easy to watch event. And oh, by the way, just a little plug, I'm helping deal with cover women's basketball. Women's basketball, the gold medal game, guys, it's going to be the game that's played on the final day of the Olympics this year, not the men, for a change. So with the attention that women's basketball has been getting, just wait, because if either Diana Taurasi's going for a 6th unprecedented gold medal to add to the 5th that she shared with Sue Bird, and she turns 42 in June, and or you might see Caitlin Clark there. So I mean, I got a feeling that NBC is licking their chops for that opportunity.
It's 10:12 in Paris right now, by the way.
So 7 hours ahead of Central Time.
Right. The Olympics, July 26th through August 11th. It's right in the middle of somebody's training camp, isn't it, Teresa?
Time I've missed the start of training camp, and I'll make sure that the new coach is familiar and understands where I'm at. In fact, I actually told him recently that, I won't be here at the beginning of training camp, but Terry McCormick was there, and he's like, I will be representing for her and AP. So, Terry McCormick does a great job helping me out there when I'm not here. And, like I said, I was in London. I was in, this would be my 7th. So I'm losing track right now.
Little humble brag there.
Not so humble.
We caught that. Yeah. Teresa Walker of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports today, and we got way off in the weeds relative to what we had brought her on for.
We've got nothing else to talk about.
No, nothing else at all. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Preds 4, Canucks 1 final. Much needed victory last night.
Massive. And here's the thing. Think about this. They essentially spent that entire third period on the penalty kill. I mean, it's like, it was serious. It was like it was dump and chase. They couldn't keep the puck in the offensive zone at all. And I still don't know what Rick Tocchet was doing. It's like, shoot, pull your goalie with 10 minutes left. They can't get the puck out of the neutral zone. Forget about, getting it in, threatening your goalie. And then when they're down 2 goals, and he just he had his guy puck handling, letting the clock tick down to 2 minutes before he finally made the rush and pulled his goalie. It's like, what are you doing? You don't have to go all Patrick Waugh and pull your goalie with 8, 9, 10 minutes to go, but waiting until 2 minutes. I mean, yes, then you had Sherwood had the empty netter, great jump by him. And in a game where they spent so much time essentially killing penalties, because let's just add, I mean, they went a 10-minute and 10-second stretch without allowing a shot by the Canucks. So they, between that and the blocking of the shots, I mean, it was just, if you're into defense, that was your kind of game right there. Okay. But I mean, it was just, they got the split. They have home ice advantage, and they come home literally as soon as I hang up with you guys. I'm heading out to the airport for availability today. But that's the thing. They now, I thought for this whole season, getting the playoffs, that would be the high water mark. The way they played since the whole U2 cancellation at the Sphere, hey, everything is on the table. You're in the playoffs. You now have home ice advantage if you can finish it off. And is now officially, Thatcher Demko is now week to week. And, yes, yesterday morning skate, he was day to day. After the game, he goes to week. That's not a good sign. So come on down, Casey DeSmith. This is your chance, baby. And they scored 3 goals on the 15 shots they put on him. So if I'm the Predators, shoot early, shoot a lot, get more shots on net, and pressure this man and see what you can do, because you've got a series here for the taking. And guys, I'm going to say this. UC Saros played amazing in that third period, helped by all the blocked shots. But he is a guy who needs to show that, you do need to keep me around next year when I'm cheap for $5 million, rather than trade me and bring up a much taller goalie from Milwaukee whose name is Yaroslav Askarov.
Teresa, last night's game where they did block so many shots and where Vancouver really helped them out by not being able to keep the puck on their stick. Is that a recipe that can yield 3 more victories for the Predators?
I don't think you want to. Now, Brunette talked about, paying that pain price, and you've got to block shots, okay? But did you see how McDonough was like, after he took something like a 90-something mile per hour, that a piece of frozen rubber hitting you at that speed hurts. And you can't block.
Cannot feel good.
No, there's guys, who was it? One of the guys had Carrier blocked the team high 6 shots. I mean, they just put him in a gigantic ice bag for the flight back, right? But that will take a toll, which you can't maintain. The key is trying to break up, more poke checking and things like that to break up so that they're not taking those shots. You cannot let them shoot away the way they did last night. And here's the key. Shots on goal, those are counted as the shots that are between the pipes. If there's shots at that direction, they count in a different category. Shots attempted, and they got a ton of them. Over 75 attempts last night. So, and 32 of them they blocked. So that's 32 bruises on bodies today.
On somebody, yeah.
Multiply that by 3. No, you cannot sustain that. So they have to shoot the puck more. They've got to keep out of their end. They cannot look like they're on a whole period penalty kill for a game and expect to win night in, night out. No.
Craziest stat, Teresa, from last night that I saw, the only shot on goal that the Preds had in the third period was obviously the empty netter. And it was maybe not – somebody said it best on social last night. A friend of mine said – maybe you look at game 1 and you think, hey, we probably should have won that game. You look at game 2, you think we probably shouldn't have won this game. And at the end, that's just how hockey is. And you come back with the split that you kind of wanted. And now you got 2 games in your barn this weekend.
Well, that's the thing, Wade. That's sports. I mean, Titan fans can tell you, remember the time when they tried to break Chris Johnson's ankle in the huddle or in the pile, and, the officials missed the delay of game on third down. And then there's times where you get a bounce that goes your way, and Titan fans well remember this little touch of Terry Collins' helmet in the regular season that kept the drive alive, that allowed them to win that game as part of their 10-0 start that season. So, which came back to bite them in the playoffs. But that's the thing. Everything evens out in the end, and you just need to be better overall. And honestly, I mean, coming into this series, the Predators have been better than the Canucks since the middle of February, since the cancellation of the U2 show. And I saw somebody who's not a Preds fan, tweet, that I know from a different circle. And she was like, boy, that U2 concert after the Cup parade is just going to be amazing in Nashville. I mean, the jokes are easy to write, but they have been better than the Canucks. And now you've got UC Saros, who needs to show that he can win a playoff series for this team, or a team in the NHL. And certainly from Barry Trotz's perspective, any team, he needs a series win in his resume. He doesn't have that, despite finishing 4th in the Vezina Trophy voting last year. So let's see what they can do and keep building. But Philip Forsberg, 3 points in 2 games. That's what we need to keep seeing. But, I like the moves that Andrew Brunette made last night. A little tweak on that second line. They certainly came through. And now we're seeing why Barry Trotz traded for Jason Zucker and Anthony Beauvillier.
Yeah, and the Beauvillier goal kind of surmised the whole night, right? I mean, just a crazy throw in from the blue line that just takes a perfect deflection. And now it's off to the races. And now, to me at least, it seemed like once the Preds got that spark, they weren't going to yield that advantage there. And then obviously they added a couple more before we saw even Vancouver even put one in last night.
That first game in game 1, this franchise, I don't care who the coach is or what, when they've been off for almost a week, they are almost, find the game where they weren't rusty on the first game back. So it's now that, okay, we've got a game under our system. We know what we need to do. And yes, you're absolutely right. Forsberg had the shot from just over the blue line, and Beauvillier gets that stick there and just twists it enough to deflect it, and it goes in. And again, that's the kind of, you're going to get weird bounces. And yeah, the Canucks had a hard time keeping the puck on their stick last night. Forsberg did too. I wonder, should we talk about how humid it is up there? Maybe that's the problem at Vancouver, because it's always the complaint when the puck is bouncing a bunch in Nashville. And I was there in 2010 when it was warmer in Vancouver in the Olympics in 2010 than it was in Nashville. Okay. So I'm just saying there was more snow in Nashville during those games than there was in Vancouver. So maybe that's part of the problem. But, expect a bounce back from the Canucks. They know they can't, they've got to come out hard on Friday night. But I'm expecting, I'm just, I'm going to call it now. I'm expecting at least 3 catfish on the ice before the puck drops.
Did you see that commercial last night?
I love that commercial. I saw it actually a few days ago. So, it's from the NHL, and, for something that you wouldn't think that the league would encourage, as I looked it up on YouTube, it's got NHL tagging to it. So I just love the security guard's eyes on it, because it's like, it's like when you're checking somebody, it's like, yeah, that's an awfully unusual bulge there in your midriff. It's like, go ahead. And
it's like that. It's like that meme of the guy. I think he's at maybe the Philadelphia stadium, where he just goes zoop, zoop, and barely touches anywhere and passes you on along, But I don't know that I'm taping a catfish to my body.
No, but the people I've talked to who have done it, the best way is to freeze it. And, and unfortunately with the newspaper industry the way it is, those old newspaper bags, especially the Sunday edition when it was raining, those are the best things to drop that in, and then wear a cowboy boot and tuck it in, fin down to the bottom, the tail toward the foot, and then just put it inside the boot. And that way it's a little easier to sneak in.
So you've talked to someone who's done this.
I have. And well, I tracked down during the 17 run. I talked down or found Robert Wolf, the guy who started the whole tradition, on how and why it was to and I had a great story. It was a wonderful story.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was huge. I'm just saying. But the idea that they were talking, they were on the corner across from the arena, and they were wanting to come up with something to be Nashville oriented.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose Teresa?
We were just getting to the good stuff.
Yeah, we were. Hopefully we can get her back in here, because I have done a search on Bob Wolf, and owner of Wolfies, right there on the corner. So this
Hey, the other while we're kind of going into the quirkiness of hockey, Mo, have you seen the other ire of the Preds fans during the trash talk of all this with the stadium itself in Vancouver? Maybe I might be able to get producer Mark to pull this up. Great subreddit post where fans are pointing out that Rogers Arena, the seats, they're these old maroon seats, and the point is aptly made that it resembles the interior of a 1995 Buick LeSabre that has been removed from the bottom of a rock quarry after 29 years. So if you thought there wasn't going to be a little fun trash talk in this series, is it's and the funny part is the Vancouver fans, obviously Canada, so of course the nicest people on the planet, they say, okay, we see your point and we're mad at you, but we want you to know that we've already made this same point for the last 15 plus years as well. We know our seats are bad. You're not telling us something we don't already know.
You're not telling us anything we don't already know, but you didn't have to tell us. Yeah.
I loved it though. They say it's retrieved from the bottom of a rock quarry 29 years later. The interior of the arena seats looks like a Buick LeSabre.
That's rough. We do have Teresa Walker back, I do believe.
I am. I tell you, I don't know what it is, and it's making me think that I need to rethink my internet provider, shall we say? Yes. Yes, I've done the extender, and for some reason I'm still having issues. So, but and I don't know where you all lost me, but yes, Robert Wolf looked out to the left, looked up the hill, then he looked to the right, saw the Cumberland, and thought,
Catfish.
Catfish.
And
exactly. And that's where that started back in the day. So it's an organic fan started tradition.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. And as I have Googled this is Robert Wolf of Wolfies. So he probably got Catfish for a little of nothing as a restaurateur down on Broadway, right?
Well, actually, the story I wrote, we my photographer went over to the store where he bought the catfish and such. So I can't remember the name of it because I have slept since then. But
that's good to know.
Yes, he went to go buy it, and we took pictures there, and might have gotten a picture of a fan buying a piece of fish to be displayed later. You can always tell when one is a little warm. That's when, trust me, if you're going to do this, go ahead and gut your fish before you take it and put it in the freezer. Okay? Help the poor people who have to go out there with a shovel. Yes.
Wow.
So what's the over under on catfish toss then for Friday night?
3.
Do you have one? 3?
I'm saying 3, and
okay.
But if it's higher, that to me is always a sign of fan confidence. I'll just say when there's like 4 and 5, because there's been times where they'll throw them and then there's another. It's like, I had a hard time getting it out of there. Come on. And they toss it out and you get a 4th or a 5th one. So, trust me, I have editors who are very, very interested. Are they still doing that? So I do a catfish count along with as fans were pointing out, Vancouver has the same people singing the anthems. That's just, we do that better here in Nashville. And it's like, well, my God, you can't swing a guitar without hitting 5 different singers. So it's a lot easier to do here.
Well, I mean, they may have the same singers, but I will tell you this: listening to them last night, they're strong, both of them.
Oh, tremendous, tremendous. And I love the Canadian anthem is simple, strong. I love how she lets the crowd join in and take over. And then she comes in to finish it off. I love Oh Canada. So trust me. And whenever Canada won a gold medal in Vancouver, there was a bell tower somewhere that would play the first four notes of Oh Canada. And so, yes, it took me maybe 3 years to get that song out of my head.
Teresa, while you were gone as well, we mentioned, I'm sure you might have seen the trash talk online, and I think producer Mark's got the clip. The Preds fans were quick to point out that the formerly known as General Motors Place, now known as Rogers Arena, built in 95, but the seats resemble that of a 1995 Buick LeSabre that was found at the bottom of a rock quarry. So the Preds fans have done their homework.
Those seats are in the midst of being replaced. A friend of mine reached out to me to let me know and actually shared that meme with me. So Vancouver is in the process of replacing those seats, but yeah, I'm trying to think. I went to the closing ceremony in Vancouver. I don't know if it was held there. I did watch the bronze medal hockey game there. So I don't know if it was in the BC. I mean, hey, I just followed the guys and the group that I was with go watch those things. So, but yes, Buick LeSabre, that's kind of an apt comparison. Those seats, I might bring my own seat cushion or plastic wrap to, like when you take your car to the dealer to get cleaned or, serviced, just so I don't have to sit. Those seats have been through a lot. They've seen too much.
I just saw the headline on that Reddit. Is Vancouver a poor? That's so hard. That's
Hockey
so
trash
hard.
talk remains undefeated.
Clearly.
It is.
I feel like Shaq. I feel like Shaquille O'Neal. I apologize. I wasn't familiar with your game. So Teresa Walker of the Associated Press joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Teresa, as always, it's a pleasure, and we'll be watching. I guarantee you, we will be warmer than you are Friday night.
And because I'm cold even in my house and it's 70 degrees, I will be in many, many layers. I'm just saying, yes, be ready. It's going to
enjoy.
I'm expecting a fun night Friday night. Now we'll just see if the Predators can send everyone home happy.
Hey, let me just remind you though, earplugs.
I've got them and I will be using them because thank you for the reminder.
Yeah. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
nice.
I like that. Yes.
Nice, Mark. Good job. Hey,
very well done.
That's a good one to send her out on. When we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, it's a grab bag, and we got plenty to talk about. Stay with us.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands off. Lee Company techs have been using visual finding technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Our final segment, we'll have Wade and I bringing you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest stories from across the globe. Yikes. That's assuming that I still have a voice for the final segment. But
he's battling, folks.
I'm trying to be a gamer, man. As long as I'm not hurting the team more by being out here, I'm gonna stay out here. But Wade, when you went to bed last night, did you think you would be waking up to the news that 2005 Heisman Trophy winner Reggie Bush is once again 2005 Heisman Trophy winner Reggie Bush?
You know, it's funny that you say that because last night was the first night since 2012 or whenever this was revoked that I said, you know what, I might 2010. I said, you know what? That's it. I'm packing it up. And then the one night that I give up hope, I wake up. Yeah, crazy news to wake up to this morning. Unbelievable.
The Heisman Trust is reinstating Reggie Bush's 2005 Heisman Trophy, the organization announced Wednesday, marking the end of a long battle for the former star USC running back. Bush had not formally been recognized as a Heisman recipient since 2010, when he forfeited the trophy because of a high-profile NCAA investigation that determined Bush and his family members received impermissible benefits while he played for the Trojans. That's the lead to the story by David Cobb on CBSSports.com. And it makes sense when you consider that really there's nothing that Reggie Bush did that is illegal at this point.
Yeah, he's kind of just sitting there, been left wondering. And, you know, Johnny Manziel even got involved recently saying that he was going to boycott all Heisman entities until it was restored. And his boycott was short-lived because they did walk this one back. And the interesting thing about this, and this is what I'm thinking, partner, is, man, they sure do run a lot of these Heisman House and a lot of these Heisman commercials, and it's promoted everywhere. Reggie Bush is not obviously in any of those, and I'm sitting there wondering, I'm like, hey, where's my man's back pay on this?
I don't know about back pay, but he's going to, I think the campaign around him, it'll be interesting to see him show up at the Heisman House. That's for sure. I'm grateful to once again be recognized as a recipient of the Heisman Trophy. This reinstatement is not only a personal victory, but also a validation of the tireless efforts of my supporters and advocates who have stood by me throughout this arduous journey. So that's again, given the landscape of college football and college athletics at this point, I don't know how you could not give it back to him. So
yeah, it
good to see.
seems like it's overdue. There was some chatter on the internet though that did say, yeah, it's good for Reggie, and yeah, the Heisman Trust did what they were supposed to do. But a lot of folks in Burnt Orange were saying, hey, you're going to have to go to a certain guy's house in Austin, Texas, and you're going to have to get the Heisman Trophy, because a lot of folks down there are still bitter, saying that Vince Young on that famous night in January, that it's really his all along. And this whole battle, legally or otherwise, has kind of just been just kind of a formality, because it's really one other gentleman's. And I kind of have a hard time arguing with that, even as talented as Bush was.
Having watched that game that you refer to, I would have a hard time arguing with it as well, because if Reggie Bush won it, Vince Young might have taken it that night. So
that was some of the chatter I saw on social this morning, was like, yeah, he may have won it, like you said, but VY claimed it back that night, because that was an all-timer.
VY pulled a Lee Corso. Not so fast, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
May not be the last time you hear that phrase in this segment, by the way. I don't know that it matters, because I don't know that Herm Edwards is going to coach again at the collegiate level, or was going to coach again at the collegiate level. But now he's got a 5-year show cause penalty to deal with if he ever considers doing so. The NCAA handed down its sanctions to Arizona State for their numerous recruiting violations during the COVID-19 no-visit period, involving more than 30 prospects. Edwards got a 5-year show cause. 6 other Arizona State staffers also received show cause penalties ranging from 3 to 10 years. Among those is current Las Vegas Raiders coach Antonio Pierce. Now, Pierce apparently is disputing the charges against him, submitted a written statement to the NCAA, and will have a hearing, because I guess there is a possibility that he returns to the collegiate level at some point.
More likely him than Herm Edwards, right?
69-year-old Herm Edwards, yes.
Yeah. Way more likely. Other interesting angle of this is the school agreed to disassociate for 5 years with Regina Jackson, who's the mother of Jaden Daniels, who began his career at Arizona State, alleged to have paid for flights and lodging for ASU recruits kind of during that dead period. And that's the interesting thing. And Mo, I saw this earlier, and I didn't know if we'd have a way to wiggle it into the show, but lo and behold, we found a way. How about this? I saw this tweet earlier today, and I screenshotted it. Friendly reminder that Jaden Daniels has been in college, or was in college, so long that he threw a touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk to defeat Justin Herbert, who was the quarterback for the Oregon Ducks.
That's pretty amazing.
That is wild. And that also, that's what well played. And they closed the tweet by saying, and that all happened pre-COVID. COVID wasn't even a thing when that all happened. So Jaden Daniels throwing TDs to Brandon Ayuk to defeat Justin COVID. All of that just literally blew my mind when I read that today.
I can see why it would. Chris Vanini of The Athletic has a story up on that website. Former Tennessee football coach Derek Dooley is involved in a group that is championing a group of 5 only postseason playoff. Multiple administrators from within the G5 conferences, the American Sun Belt, Mountain West, MAC, and Conference USA, told The Athletic that Derek Dooley has been the salesman on behalf of private equity firms making contact with the schools. Nothing is imminent. They haven't been presented with any numbers, but conversations are more real than they've ever been. Derek Dooley did not respond to a request for comment, but one of the G5 athletic directors said, "We're taking some leadership here to control our own destiny so that Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey don't make that decision for us." Greg Sankey, obviously the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, and Petitti of the Big Ten. So I don't know. I don't know if the group of five necessarily wants to pull away from the CFP as it is currently constructed. I mean, the 12-team playoff may be their best way forward. I don't know. But this is clearly something to keep an eye on, and we will do so.
Two quick things on that. Number one, if we end up in kind of a super league situation, I think this would be great, and I would certainly enjoy watching those games. Obviously, from a competitive standpoint, you would hope that those schools would have the chance to play the quote unquote big dogs. But if you can't, having your own separate thing seems like a good enough endeavor. And number two, not a great football coach, at least at the head coaching level, but Derek Dooley, pretty good salesman. And so having him as kind of your face on that to drum up some private equity interests, you probably think of worse people, I'd imagine. He's a lawyer after all, as he likes to point out.
Right. A little bit of a mover and shaker, apparently. News from the Lynx. Headline on CBSSports.com: Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy to receive massive loyalty payments from PGA Tour after equity investment, per report. So apparently Woods and McIlroy, after they decided to spurn the Live Tour, the PGA has looked at them and said, you know what? We appreciate y'all, and we're going to show our appreciation. Earlier this year, PGA Tour Enterprises received an investment of up to $3 billion from Strategic Sports Group. And these equity distributions to Woods, McIlroy, and other PGA stars will be backstopped by that $3 billion infusion of funds. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's on its surface, without me digging deeper in the weeds, it seems like the proverbial and ultimate, show of good faith. Hey, you stuck by us, so we're gonna do right by you.
Right.
I did see one part of this story here that earlier this year, PGA Tour Enterprises received an investment of up to $3 billion.
With a B.
Yeah, from various sports owners. So $100 million, obviously, especially for Tiger Woods, is not that large of a sum in the grand scheme. 100 million is 100 million. Don't get it twisted.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, what I'm wondering is if you didn't, I mean, I don't know the legalities of this, but if you're not wondering, hey, maybe we could have stuck, you know what? We'll let you keep the 100 million for now, but maybe you come back to us in a year or two and then with an even higher number, offer us a little extra dividend.
There we go. Yeah. Kenny Payne got ran out of Louisville. John Calipari ran out of Kentucky. The two are joining forces in Fayetteville, Arkansas, apparently. Now, Payne has previously served as an assistant to Calipari when both of them were at Kentucky, but they're back together again, apparently. And I don't think, well, I mean, Kentucky and Arkansas obviously have to play each other, but I don't know that Louisville and Arkansas will be playing each other anytime soon. Yeah. So
Good, good rekindling. And I just text our good buddy Nate Bain is close with Kenny Payne from his time at Oregon back in the day, and then our other good friend Will Martin is close with Calipari and Payne from serving on his staff as a manager. And I just said it's kind of like the band getting back together a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, you said it best. They kind of were ran out of their respective locales or previous stops, but I mean, hey, I assume that's going to be good things, and it just feels nice to kind of see them two kind of reunite. So it'll be fun to watch.
Definitely interesting. Finally, I mentioned not so fast, my friends. Haley Van Lith, who accurately called Middle Tennessee State's win over Louisville in the opening round of the NCAAs, by the way, says that reports of her commitment to Texas Christian University may have been premature. The LSU guard, formerly of Louisville, says she is not committed to TCU despite previous reports declaring she had done so. I did take a visit to TCU, and I'm very interested in them, but I took visits to other schools and was very interested in them too. I haven't made an official commitment, but I'm very close. The ink has not touched the paper for any school. So, Haley Van Lith still on the market. I think the right thing for Haley Van Lith to do in backing up her faith in the Lady Raiders in that game against Louisville to open the NCAAs, I think it might be time for Haley to come on to the glass house.
Yeah, why not, man? Just bring this thing full circle, right?
Yep, absolutely. So we'll see how that goes. But Haley Van Lith still on the market, apparently. In light of our time crunch, we are going to keep it right here, skip our final break, and give you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe here to close out Wild and Wacky Wednesday. And we're going to start, as I always love to do, in Florida. Headline: alligator on a runway at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida captured, released into nearby river. This was yesterday on the Associated Press. A large alligator made its way onto the runway at MacDill Air Force Base, where it had to be captured and taken away for release in a nearby river. Spotted Monday morning beside the landing gear of a KC-135 aerial refueling aircraft, according to officials at the Tampa base. Officers with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission were summoned. They captured the animal and released it into the nearby Hillsborough River. According to wildlife officials, alligators become more likely to wander into unfamiliar territory in April as they search for mates.
I don't like any part of that, partner.
Well, I'm just saying, I guess regardless of the species, you do certain things.
Yeah, Mother Nature has a way of calling everybody, right?
It's unbeaten.
Hey, I'm just I got a lot of thoughts going through my head right now. Speaking of animals, Mo, I know you'll be devastated to hear about this, and really, producer Mark is probably shedding real tears as we speak. But in Chicago, the famous rat hole is gone. Apparently, this was a quote-unquote landmark. At some point in the last couple of years, some sort of kind of like the Hollywood Walk of Fame where you have your hands imprinted, a giant-sized rat hole in the perfect shape of a, rat had been emblazoned in the concrete. And so much so, I'd even actually heard about this story. Folks were going and were taking engagement photos there. It was kind of this surreal, random phenomenon. And apparently, though, the neighbors were complaining that people were showing up at all times. They were leaving coins and other items. And so Chicago said, enough. We're not going to stand for this rat hole anymore. And so now the they have done a little bit of a solid. They chunked it out and they now have it in temporary storage. But if you, like I'm sure dozens of our listeners were planning to go and take a photo this summer with the Chicago Rat Hole, it is not available
not
to
there.
you anymore, my
It's
friend.
certainly not
I'm
there.
sorry to report that.
That is a little disappointing.
Yeah, look
Speaking
at
of
that.
it,
They're throwing money in there.
into the hole.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, that's wild.
Who's picking that up? I mean, who's got rights to that?
Well, I mean, what if the rat is still in there? I mean, no, that money will just stay there as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, don't touch that.
No. Speaking of animals, from London, 5 military horses spooked by noise from a building site bolted through routine exercises on Wednesday near Buckingham Palace, threw off 4 riders and caused chaos as they galloped loose through central London streets and collided with vehicles during the busy morning rush hour. Horses on the loose in London.
No.
That's
That's not good. Hey, it's funny that you mentioned that though, because Mo, did you see the clip of the horse that was dashing down the interstate in Philadelphia just a couple of days ago?
No, I did not.
I'll send it to you as soon as we get off. A horse got loose in Philadelphia and was dashing down I-95, and it's going with the flow of traffic, luckily, because it's a smart horse after all. But this thing was getting up to top speed, man. I'm not saying it was going to win the Kentucky Derby or anything, but this horse was moving. And apparently the horse has been captured, has been returned unharmed. And it kind of reached such quick viral fame that somebody even made a small video game where I guess presumably you could play as the horse and run down I-95. So if you're ever looking to beat a traffic jam, you're always stuck and you're thinking about swerving over to the shoulder and driving off, you may better look twice if you're in Philly, because there could be a horse barreling down.
Absolutely. 5 of 7 horses ran off. 4 soldiers were thrown off. 3 of them were hospitalized with injuries. None of them were deemed to be life-threatening. The commotion erupted when the horses from the household cavalry presumably became alarmed by the sound of concrete falling off a moving walkway at a construction site in a swanky neighborhood just to the west of Buckingham Palace. I think I would probably have the same reaction as the horses under the circumstances. I think I'd probably just take off running as well.
I'm looking at these pictures. These are some good looking horses too.
Yeah. That's wild. And
Mo, we never get a chance to talk enough chess on this show, rightly or wrongly. But I'm going to take this moment to let you guys know that there is a new world record as a Nigerian chess champion and child education advocate played chess nonstop for 60 hours in Times Square recently. Tunde Onakwa, who's a 29-year-old, which makes sense. He's got a little more stamina than some of us here. Said he hoped to raise $1 million for child education across Africa as he began his record attempt last week. He originally had only planned to play 58, but then said, what's 2 more hours? Playing 60 hours and breaking the previous record of 56 hours and 9 minutes achieved in 2018 by a Norwegian gentleman who I will not even attempt to pronounce his name. I'm sorry to that young man there. But apparently it turned into a big deal. They had folks out in the streets. They were bringing Nigerian cuisine. They had music going. And my man played chess for 60 hours. They got a 5-minute break every hour. Otherwise, he was playing nonstop as they raised $22,000 within the first 20 hours of the attempt. So that's your daily chess chatter here.
I will see your chess world record and raise you a ballerina world record. How many ballerinas can dance on tiptoes in one place? A world record 353 at New York's Plaza Hotel. This happened about a week ago. Spectacle was organized by Youth America Grand Prix, a ballet scholarship program celebrating its 25th anniversary with 3 nights of performances at the Lincoln Center for the Performing Art. Dancers aged 9 to 19 were involved. Tchaikovsky music played as the ballerinas stood on tiptoes and switched their weight rapidly from one foot to the other, a step called bourrée, for a full minute, and set with the 3:53 a new record. See ya.